The Spring 2025 UK Retail Cyber Crisis, a strategic analysis of the M&S Co-op and Harrods attacks. In the spring of 2025, the United Kingdom's retail sector was subjected to a sophisticated, multi-week cyber campaign that culminated in systemic disruption for two of its most iconic brands, Marks & Spencer and the Cooperative Group, and a successfully thwarted attempt against the luxury department store Harrods. This series of interconnected attacks, attributed to the financially motivated cybercrime collective known as Scattered Spider, represents a watershed moment for corporate cybersecurity in the UK. The campaign, which utilized the potent DragonForce ransomware as a service platform, moved beyond simple data theft to inflict catastrophic operational paralysis, exposing critical vulnerabilities in third-party supply chain security, human-centric defenses, and enterprise-wide operational resilience. The starkly divergent outcomes across the three targeted retailers provide an unambiguous lesson. In the face of a determined adversary, it is not luck but proactive defense and a well-rehearsed incident response plan that dictate the severity of an attack's impact, separating manageable incidents from existential crises. The campaign inflicted a combined financial impact, conservatively estimated by the UK's Cyber Monitoring Centre to be between £270 million and £440 million, $592 million. This staggering figure was driven primarily by the severe business interruptions suffered by M&S, which was forced to suspend all online sales for nearly 7 weeks and suffered a profit warning of £300 million. The Co-op, while successfully preventing the final encryption stage of the ransomware, paid a different but equally devastating price: the confirmed theft of personal data belonging to all 6.5 million of its current and former members. This constitutes one of the largest data breaches in UK retail history. In stark contrast, Harrods detected the intrusion attempt early and executed a decisive containment strategy, restricting network access and neutralizing the threat with minimal disruption to its operations and no confirmed loss of customer data. The initial point of entry for the most damaging attack against M&S was not its own network, but that of a trusted third-party IT supplier, highlighting supply chain risk as a primary threat vector. The attackers' core tactic across the campaign was social engineering, specifically targeting IT help desks to bypass technical security controls by manipulating human employees. This report concludes that the UK retail sector, and indeed all large enterprises, must urgently pivot from a compliance-focused, perimeter-based cybersecurity posture to one of active, resilient defense. This requires a fundamental strategic shift in 4 key areas. First, organizations must fortify the human firewall by moving beyond basic awareness training to implement stringent verification processes that defend against sophisticated social engineering. Second, they must embed a zero-trust architecture, assuming no user or device is inherently trustworthy and verifying every access request. Third, they must elevate supply chain security from a contractual formality to a core operational discipline, demanding and verifying high security standards from all third-party partners. Finally, boards and executive leadership must treat cyber risk as a core business function on par with finance and operations, integrating it into strategic planning, risk management, and capital allocation. A comparative analysis of the 3 incidents reveals starkly different outcomes dictated by defensive maturity. The attack on Marks & Spencer, detected between April 19th, 2025, was catastrophic. Originating from a compromised third-party IT help desk, the attackers used social engineering and credential theft to deploy DragonForce ransomware, encrypting critical SXE servers. This led to a nearly 7-week suspension of online sales, supply chain paralysis, and a profit warning of approximately £300 million, alongside a significant data breach of customer details. The Cooperative Group, attacked around April 26, 2027, thwarted the final ransomware deployment through a proactive system shutdown. However, this response came after attackers had already used social engineering to steal the personal data of all 6.5 million members, resulting in severe supply chain disruption and stock shortages, though the final financial impact was less than MS's. In contrast, Harrods detected an attempted intrusion on May 1st and executed a rapid, surgical containment strategy. restricting internet access to isolate the threat. This proactive response resulted in minimal operational impact, with no disruption to stores or e-commerce and no confirmed data compromise, showcasing a model of successful defense. The spring 2025 attacks were not random acts of digital vandalism, but a calculated, sector-wide assault executed by a sophisticated and agile adversary. Understanding the threat actor, their weapons, and their playbook is essential for developing effective defenses against future campaigns. Threat actor profile: Scattered Spider. The group implicated in these attacks is known to the cybersecurity community as Scattered Spider, a name given by the security firm CrowdStrike and tracked by others as Octo Tempest, UNC 3944, and Zero K-Tapus. This is not a traditional state-sponsored espionage unit or a monolithic Eastern European crime syndicate. Instead, Scattered Spider is a loosely organized, financially motivated e-crime collective whose membership is transient and comprised predominantly of young, English-speaking individuals located in Western nations, including the United Kingdom and the United States. This demographic profile is significant. The arrests made by the UK's National Crime Agency, NCA, in July 2025 included 3 teenagers and a 20-year-old, underscoring the youth of the perpetrators. This challenges the conventional wisdom about the origins of high-impact cyber threats and raises profound questions about the pathways that lead technically skilled young people in Western countries toward organized cybercrime. Scattered Spider is characterized by its operational agility and strategic focus. The group demonstrates a remarkable ability to shift its targeting between different industry verticals. After focusing on the telecommunications and technology sectors, they pivoted to retail, as seen in this campaign, and subsequently shifted their focus again to the insurance and aviation industries in the US and beyond. This pattern reveals a capacity for rapid target analysis, reconnaissance, and the development of sector-specific exploitation techniques, making them a persistent, adaptable, and highly unpredictable threat to any large enterprise. The malware deployed in the successful attack on M&S and attempted at Co-op was DragonForce. It is crucial for business leaders to understand that DragonForce is not merely a piece of malicious software, it is a ransomware-as-a-service platform. In the RAS model, the developers of the ransomware provide the malware, the command and control infrastructure, and often a data leak website to affiliates, such as Scattered Spider. In return, the developers take a percentage of any ransom payments collected, typically around 20%. This business model effectively democratizes high-end cyber attacks. It allows affiliate groups like Scattered Spider to focus on their core competency, gaining initial access and moving through a network, without needing to develop or maintain the complex ransomware code themselves. This division of labor makes the entire cybercrime ecosystem more efficient, scalable, and resilient. Technical analysis reveals DragonForce to be a formidable weapon. It employs strong, modern encryption algorithms, including AES-256, RSA, and, in newer variants, ChaCha-8 for faster encryption speeds. It is designed with anti-detection and anti-forensic capabilities, such as attempting to disable or terminate antivirus software, modifying registry keys for persistence, and clearing system logs to erase its tracks. A particularly strategic and devastating feature of the DragonForce toolkit is its specific focus on targeting VMware ESXi hypervisors. Hypervisors are the software layer that creates and runs virtual machines. In modern data centers, a single physical ESXi server can host dozens or even hundreds of VMs running critical business applications, from e-commerce websites to supply chain databases. By targeting and encrypting the hypervisor itself, attackers can disable all hosted VMs in a single stroke. This is not a random act of file encryption. It is a calculated attack on the foundational layer of modern enterprise IT, designed to cause maximum operational chaos and amplify the pressure on a victim organization to pay the ransom. The success of the entire campaign hinged on a consistent and repeatable playbook that masterfully blended social engineering with technical exploitation. The attackers identified and exploited the weakest link in corporate security, the human element. The primary initial access vector was social engineering, specifically targeting external-facing IT help desks, including those run by third-party contractors. Rather than trying to find and exploit a complex software vulnerability, a zero-day, the attackers simply picked up the phone. They employed vishing, voice phishing, impersonating legitimate employees or other IT staff. With a convincing story, they persuaded help desk personnel to perform high-risk actions, such as resetting a target user's password or adding an attacker-controlled device to a user's account for multi-factor authentication. This approach is insidious because it bypasses millions of pounds worth of technical security controls by manipulating trusted internal processes and exploiting the natural human inclination to be helpful. Once this initial foothold was established, the attackers executed a series of well-defined steps to escalate their privileges and seize control of the network. A key objective was credential theft, most notably achieved by exfiltrating the Windows nttds.dt file from Active Directory domain controllers. This file is the central database of the Windows domain, containing the hashed passwords for all user accounts. By stealing this file, attackers can use offline computing power to crack the password hashes, revealing the plain-text passwords of numerous users, including highly privileged administrators. This gives them the keys to the kingdom, allowing them to move freely across the network. To maintain their presence and evade detection, scattered spider affiliates utilized legitimate-seeming tunneling tools like Ungrok and Chisel. These tools create encrypted outbound connections from a compromised machine to an attacker-controlled server, effectively establishing a covert command and control C2 channel that can be difficult to distinguish from normal network traffic, thereby bypassing standard firewall rules and network security monitoring. This playbook reveals a sophisticated understanding of hybrid enterprise environments. The attackers demonstrated the ability to pivot seamlessly between on-premises infrastructure, like the Active Directory servers they targeted for the ntds.dit file, and cloud environments. They used tools like A8 Internals, which is designed to interact with Microsoft's cloud identity platform, Azure AD, Entra ID, indicating their ability to compromise an on-premises account and use it to gain access to cloud resources, or vice versa. This is a third-order threat that goes beyond simple network hacking. It targets the complex identity and access management, IAM fabric, that underpins the modern hybrid enterprise, making defense a far more complex challenge than simply securing a network perimeter. The attackers have correctly identified that in today's business world, identity is the new perimeter, and they have tailored their TTPs to conquer it. The attackers' methods can be mapped to the industry-standard MITRE ATT and CK registered trademark framework, revealing a logical and multi-stage intrusion. For initial access, they relied on social engineering through vishing to trick IT help desks into providing access to valid accounts, as well as traditional phishing with malicious links or attachments. Once inside, they established persistence using scheduled tasks to ensure their malware would survive a system reboot. To achieve privilege escalation, the Dragon Force ransomware manipulated access tokens to gain system-level control. A key part of their strategy was defense evasion, which involved disabling security software to avoid detection. For credential access, the attackers performed OS credential dumping, specifically targeting and exfiltrating the ntds.dit file from Active Directory servers to crack passwords offline. They then conducted discovery to gather system information and used lateral movement techniques like Remote Desktop Protocol, RDP, to move across the network. Before the final attack, they performed collection of sensitive data from local systems. To maintain command and control, they used proxy tools like Ngrok and Chisel to create covert communication channels, which were also used for exfiltration of the stolen data. The final impact was achieved by deploying the Dragon Force ransomware to encrypt data with a specific focus on VMware SE servers to cause maximum disruption. 3. Case Study 1. Marks & Spencer, a systemic failure in the supply chain. The cyber attack on Marks & Spencer was not merely a data breach. It was a systemic shock that paralyzed a national institution, revealing the catastrophic consequences of a single point of failure in a complex digital supply chain. Timeline of a catastrophe. The first signs of trouble emerged publicly over the Easter weekend of 2025 from April 19th to 21st. Customers began reporting widespread issues in M&S stores, with contactless payment systems failing and the click-and-collect service being unavailable. On April 22nd, M&S issued a formal statement acknowledging a cyber incident. The situation rapidly deteriorated. By April 25th, the company was forced to take the drastic step of suspending all online orders via its website and app, effectively shutting down its entire e-commerce operation. This online shutdown persisted for nearly 7 weeks, with services only beginning to be restored on June 10th. The long tail of the disruption was severe, with M&S Chair Archie Norman telling MPs that full IT system recovery was not anticipated until October or November 2025. The initial breach, a third-party Achilles heel. The investigation into the attack's origin revealed a critical and painful truth. The breach did not originate within MS's own well-funded defenses. Instead, the attackers found a softer target. The initial point of entry was a compromise of a key third-party IT provider, Tata Consultancy Services, TCS, which was contracted to run the M&S IT help desk. This supply chain vulnerability proved to be the company's Achilles heel. By successfully impersonating M&S employees in calls to the TCS help desk, the attackers tricked the outsourced staff into providing the credentials needed to access the M&S network. This single point of failure rendered MS's internal cybersecurity investments moot. The attackers simply walked in through a trusted but compromised digital side door. The successful deployment of the DragonForce ransomware payload across MS's systems triggered a devastating cascade of operational failures that rippled from the digital realm into the physical world. Digital operations, the shutdown of the M&S website and app, halted a major revenue stream for weeks. The company's recruitment platform was also taken offline, freezing all hiring activities. In-store operations. The attack severely hampered the customer experience in physical stores. The failure of contactless payment systems caused frustration and delays, while the inability to process gift cards or handle returns for food items further degraded service. Logistics and supply chain. The most profound impact was on the company's highly automated logistics network. The shutdown of automated ordering and stock management systems forced M&S to revert to archaic pen and paper processes to track supplies. The result was logistical paralysis, leading to widespread stock shortages, visibly empty shelves in stores across the country, and the temporary dismissal of around 200 agency workers at a key distribution warehouse. This reversion to manual processes demonstrates a critical failure in business continuity planning. While MS's hyper-efficient, just-in-time operational model was a strength in normal times, it proved to be catastrophically brittle when its digital backbone was severed. The inability to gracefully degrade operations without a near-total collapse indicates that the company's continuity plans likely accounted for conventional IT disasters, such as a server failure or power outage, but failed to model a scenario involving a complete, malicious takeover of the entire IT estate. This reveals a dangerous gap between traditional IT disaster recovery and the demands of modern cyber resilience. The financial consequences of the attack were immediate and severe. In a statement to investors on May 21, 2025, M&S issued a stark warning. The incident was expected to cause a £300 million hit to its trading profits for the 2025-26 financial year. This figure represents one of the largest publicly disclosed financial losses from a single cyber attack on a UK retailer. The stock market reaction was brutal. In the days following the attack's disclosure, the company's market value plummeted, with reports citing losses ranging from £300 million to £750 million, and at one point exceeding £1 billion. Analysts attempted to quantify the daily hemorrhaging of revenue, with estimates for the loss from the online store shutdown alone ranging from £1.3 million to £3.8 million per day. While the company stated that the final profit impact would be reduced through cost management and insurance payouts, the scale of the initial loss highlights the immense financial leverage that operational disruption gives to cybercriminals. Beyond the operational and financial devastation, the attack also dealt a significant blow to customer trust. M&S confirmed that the attackers had successfully stolen personal customer data before deploying the ransomware. The compromised information included names, email addresses, postal addresses, dates of birth, and online order histories. Although the company stressed that sensitive financial data and account passwords were not compromised, the breach was serious enough to require a mass notification to affected customers, advising them to reset their passwords and remain vigilant against phishing attacks. For a brand built on a century of trust, this erosion of confidence in its ability to safeguard customer data represents a significant and long-lasting reputational liability. The M&S case study elevates the concept of supply chain risk from a matter of contractual compliance to a primary existential threat for the modern enterprise. It proves unequivocally that a company's security posture is only as strong as that of its weakest trusted partner. The traditional model of relying on annual security questionnaires and contractual liability clauses is no longer sufficient. This incident serves as a mandate for businesses to move towards a model of continuous monitoring, active verification, and deep integration with their critical suppliers, treating their partners' networks as extensions of their own and holding them to the same rigorous security standards. The cyber attack on the cooperative group presents a more nuanced and in many ways more instructive case study than the clear-cut disaster at M&S Co-op's response contained a critical success. Yet this victory was Pyrrhic, achieved at an immense cost to its members and its operations. While sources suggest the initial breach occurred as early as April 22nd, coinciding with the M&S intrusion, the incident became public around April 30th. At this time, Co-op acknowledged it was dealing with an IT issue and, in a leaked internal email, informed staff that it was taking systems offline to contain a threat. The company's initial public statements were seen as downplaying the severity of the incident. However, the narrative was taken out of their hands when the attackers themselves contacted BBC News, providing evidence of a massive data theft and forcing Co-op to admit that a significant amount of data had been lost. Co-op's most significant achievement in its incident response was the successful prevention of the final ransomware payload. Its security team detected the intrusion in progress and made the decisive call to pull the plug, proactively shutting down critical IT systems and disconnecting networks from the internet before the attackers could execute the Dragon Force encryptor. This single action saved the company from the total system encryption and subsequent operational paralysis that crippled M&S. This victory, however, was not without a heavy price. The proactive shutdown of systems while preventing encryption had severe consequences of its own. Stores across the country, particularly those in remote and rural areas of Scotland where the Co-op often serves as the sole grocery provider, reported receiving only a fraction of their normal stock. The critical flaw in Co-op's response was one of timing. While they stopped the final ransomware payload, they did not act quickly enough to prevent the preceding data theft. The true scale of the data loss was not revealed until mid-July, when CEO Shireen Cowrie-Hawk made a stunning public admission. In an interview with the BBC, she confirmed that personal data belonging to all 6.5 million current and former members of the cooperative group had been stolen by the attackers. The compromised data was extensive and highly sensitive, including full names, home addresses, email addresses, phone numbers, dates of birth. This data is a valuable commodity for criminals, creating a significant and long-term risk of sophisticated phishing campaigns, identity theft, and targeted fraud for millions of individuals. Co-op's crisis communication strategy was a mixed affair. The initial downplaying of the incident drew criticism, particularly after the hackers forced their hand by going to the media. The CEO's later public apology was seen as direct, empathetic, and effective. Shireen Cowrie-Hawk expressed that she was incredibly sorry and devastated. This incident creates a new, more nuanced benchmark for cyber resilience. It is no longer enough to simply stop the final ransomware payload. In a unique and strategic post-breach move, Co-op announced a partnership with The Hacking Games, a social enterprise aimed at identifying young people with cyber talent and channeling their skills into positive ethical careers. Amidst the chaos that engulfed M&S and Co-op, the incident at Harrods stands out as a quiet testament to the value of preparedness. On May 1, 2025, just as the full extent of the attacks on its peers was becoming clear, Harrods confirmed that it too had been targeted. The company detected an unauthorized attempt to access its systems. The defining feature of the Harrods incident was the speed and decisiveness of its response. Unlike its peers, who appeared to detect the attacks only after operational disruption had begun, Harrods' security team identified the unauthorized access attempt early in the intrusion lifecycle. Upon detection, they took immediate and proactive steps to contain the threat. The most critical action was the decision to restrict internet access across its sites as a precautionary measure. This move effectively severed the attackers' connection to their command and control servers, isolating the intrusion and preventing them from moving laterally, exfiltrating data, or deploying a final payload like the Dragon Force ransomware. The strategic brilliance of Harrods' response lay in its ability to contain the threat without causing catastrophic self-inflicted damage. In stark contrast to the weeks of paralysis at M&S and Co-op, Harrods' proactive containment strategy resulted in minimal to no impact on its customer-facing operations. Throughout the incident, its physical stores, including the iconic Knightsbridge flagship, H-Beauty stores, and airport locations, remained fully open and operational. Crucially, its e-commerce website, Harrods.com, also continued to trade normally. The company confirmed that there was no evidence of customer data being compromised and advised customers that no action was required on their part. Harrods' success was not a matter of luck. It was the direct result of a high level of cybersecurity maturity. The ability to detect an intrusion early and surgically isolate affected systems without bringing the entire business to a halt points to several key capabilities. First, it suggests effective 24/7 security monitoring capable of identifying anomalous activity in real time. Second, the response implies the existence of a well-rehearsed incident response plan that empowered the security team to take decisive action. Third, and perhaps most importantly, the ability to restrict internet access in a targeted way, rather than resorting to a full system shutdown, suggests a well-designed and segmented network architecture. Network segmentation is the practice of dividing a computer network into smaller subnetworks, each acting as its own small network. This prevents an attacker who gains access to one segment from easily moving to another. Harrods' response indicates they were able to use this granular control to surgically remove the threat's access, avoiding the sledgehammer approach of a total shutdown that caused so much collateral damage to Co-op's own operations. In the context of the spring 2025 retail attacks, Harrods effectively serves as the control group. All three retailers were targeted by the same sophisticated actor using a similar playbook. The variable that determined the outcome was not the threat, but the maturity of the defense. The hundreds of millions of pounds in financial losses, the theft of 6.5 million personal records, and the immense reputational damage that separate the M&S and Co-op outcomes from Harrods' quiet containment can be directly attributed to superior preparation, detection, and response capabilities. This provides a powerful real-world case study on the return on investment for cybersecurity, transforming it from a perceived cost center into an essential function of value preservation. The financial impact of the spring 2025 retail attacks extends far beyond the balance sheets of the individual companies involved. The incident sent a shockwave through the UK economy, the retail sector, and the global cyber insurance market, establishing new precedents for how systemic cyber risk is measured and managed. A definitive financial assessment was provided by the Cyber Monitoring Center, or CMC, an independent, non-profit body established by the insurance industry to categorize major cyber events. In a pivotal decision, the CMC classified the M&S and Co-op incidents not as two separate attacks, but as a single combined cyber event. This classification was based on three key factors: the high likelihood of a single threat actor, scattered spider, being responsible, the close timing of the attacks in late April 2025, and the use of similar tactics, techniques, and procedures. The CMC designated this combined incident a Category 2 systemic event,